There are so many long endurance races over the course of a year. It's impossible to do them all. Just to kind of rattle some off the top of my head here, you've got Daytona 24, Bathurst 12, Sebring 12, Petit Le Mans, 24 hours of Le Mans, 24 hours of Spa, 24 hours of the Nürburgring. Um, so many long endurance races, and to do all of them throughout the course of a season is mentally and physically very, very demanding. It really is no mean feat to do even one of these. And last year, 2023, was the first year that I did endurance racing to this extent. I didn't do all of the endurance races, but I did the vast majority of them. And it really is no mean feat even to complete one of them. Just completing a 24-hour race is incredibly difficult. There is so much that can go wrong. And I experienced it myself last year that there is an awful lot that can go wrong. Even just, making a single mistake can cause it to end your race. That's not even considering what other drivers will do, other teams will do, what the weather conditions will do. There are so many variables involved in endurance racing that simply finishing one of these races is a massive achievement in of itself. It's always quite amusing when you tell people that you're going to be taking part in a 24-hour event, and everyone thinks it's going to be something like, oh, you're exercising for 24 hours, or you're going to be doing something, for charity, for example. And then you tell them, no, I'm driving on a computer for 24 hours, and everyone just kind of gives you this look like they're a bit, it's a bit awkward. But I think in today's day and age, with technology where it is and how computers are as powerful as they are, doing something like this isn't as big of a thing as it maybe would have been in the past. I think we now are at this stage, technologically wise, where we can come together from all over the world, people that would have never met in any other way, and do things like this. It's just it's a fantastic thing to think about. If you think about how expensive it would be to buy a race ready car, and the danger that would have been involved in going and racing on a track as well, the amount of time and money that you would put into something like that, is granted probably comparable to what you would spend on a good gaming computer these days. However, there is significantly less risk involved with sitting at a desk than there would be going out and racing in the real world. I think the thing as well with technology, as it's improved over time, 10 years ago, this would never have been an option. The fact that any day of the week, any day of the month, I can talk with somebody who's 3,000 miles away across the Atlantic Ocean. Making this, for example, is something that we have done, having never met at all in real life. It's crazy to think that we now have the ability to do this. And technology has brought us all together in a way that I think we could have never have imagined. So I've never been a good qualifier. If you have a look at my race results, you'll nearly always see very poor qualifying and then trying to make those positions back in the race. And sometimes that goes well, sometimes that doesn't go well. As far as why I am as bad as qualifying as I am, very difficult to say. I think a lot of it comes down to not having maybe the aggression, I would say, that some other drivers do, or that ability to just drive on a little bit of adhesion for a single lap. I've always felt that my strengths very much lay in repeatability, being able to drive consistently, lap after lap after lap, hour after hour. I think very much that probably an hour is the absolute shortest race that I feel that I'm relatively competitive in, and even probably 2 or 3 hours as well is probably at the lower end of my range. When everyone's tired in the latter stages of a race, that's where I really come into play.
Good job, gap behind is 4 seconds, 4 seconds. Box, box, box.
So thanks to playing to my strengths, staying out of trouble, good pit strategy, pitting later than everyone else, so I was stationary for less time. The VRS endurance rate ended up going very, very well. I went from 50th to 22nd eventually. The strategy just worked perfectly well in my favour, and those strengths that I talked about before, consistency, not making any mistakes, just keeping my head down, focusing on what I was doing, that enabled me to come through the race and get a really good result. So, coming into the last week before the 24 Hours of Daytona, I was feeling really, really confident. I'd done plenty of racing in the GT3 class in the car we were going to do. I knew the setup. I knew what strategy we were going to do. The schedule for the team was coming along. We knew how many stints we were going to do. We knew how many laps that we were going to do per stint. Really, all that remained was to be able to execute it. And then with 5 days to go, everything went a little bit wrong. Obviously, everyone who signs up for an event like this wants to take part. But unfortunately, real life sometimes does get in the way, and it's reasonably common that you will have drivers over special events needing to maybe do less driving or may not be able to drive at all due to various things that come up. It happens, it's life. With 5 days to go, unfortunately, we had 2 drivers drop out of the GT3 teams, which left us with quite a difficult decision to make in terms of what we wanted to do with the team structures for a race that was 5 days away. So we made the decision that we were going to combine the GT3 teams into one. We had 5 drivers left, so we decided GT3-1, GT3-2 would be combined together into one. 5 drivers for a 24-hour race is fine. 4 is preferable. It gives you 6 hours of driving each. Yeah, I mean, 5 drivers, 5 hours is still absolutely fine, but as a team, we've always run on 4 drivers being a good amount of drivers to have for a 24-hour race. I was one of those 5 drivers, and we made a decision reasonably quickly that I would move over to one of the GTP teams that were running in a different class in the Cadillac GTP. Now, moving from a GT3 car to a GTP is quite difficult because they are fundamentally very different cars. A GTP has much higher downforce, has much more brake horsepower, it's much quicker over a course of a lap, it's got an energy recovery system as well, it doesn't have ABS like a GT3 car does. So moving from one class to another with a 5-day window to get ready was quite a difficult thing to do. And thankfully I've got GTP experience from 2023, so I was probably best placed out of those drivers to move over. But given that I'm the sort of person that likes to practice for several weeks leading up to a special event like this, to prepare for a new class in 5 days really was something that my back was up against the wall. I had to put in as many laps as I possibly could from effectively the Tuesday up until the Friday night. That was all the preparatory time that I had to get in the car and get ready. I knew the other drivers in the team. They were happy for me to join. I just didn't want to let them down. That was a really important thing for me. I did not want to let them down.
Are you still driving?
So you've just gone scenic crew as well?
I'm not sure if it's me, but I don't see anything there anymore.
Yeah, I don't see anything either.
Oh no.
It might be starting from the back anyway.
Yeah. 30.7. Wow.
Wow.
Ben, you're still there?
I'm expecting to see upload packet loss from him any second.
Yep. I'm not ready to start this one, Ben. Ben. No time? Oh no. This can't be happening right now.
New fastest lap for Marquez, 1:30.91.
Yeah, his qual's down to 23. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we're last. Or dead last. Yeah.
To be honest.
Upload. I can jump in for one lap.
You know what? Do you, honestly?
Yeah, but
is it worth it?
Matter.
Is it worth it?
Ben, you're there?
Yeah,
What happened?
I have no idea.
It just said network closed.
Yeah, you're showing us upload packet lost drop. Well, better now than in the race. Slowest time right now is at 31.8. iRacing doesn't simulate mechanical failures, at least not in the traditional sense that it's something that could be out with your control. I mean, yes, you can have engine failures, you can have suspension failures, your wheels can be knocked out of alignment, but it's all down to actions that you've taken. So if your engine fails, it's probably because you've been drafting too much of the car behind and the water temperature's increased. Suspension, wheel damage, you're going to be hitting the wall, hitting other cars. So while you can have mechanical failures, it's not something that is ever going to be out with your control. That doesn't, however, stop you from having hardware issues from your side, and disconnects, computer restarts and freezes are things which do happen on occasion. And unfortunately, during Daytona qualifying, that was something that happened to us. Ben was due to start, and he had a disconnect during qualifying. Start of a 24-hour race is actually quite a weird thing to be involved in. There's an old adage in motorsport that you can't win a race at the first corner, and that's sometimes true. Sometimes it's not true, depending upon the circuit. For a race such as Daytona, you really can't win the race at the first corner. You can absolutely lose it, but you can't win it. So the start of 24-hour races tend to be these very kind of cautious affairs where everyone just kind of rolls through the first couple of laps and doesn't really want to take any major risks. Now, we found in our race there was an exception to that, which thankfully we were able to avoid and gain quite a lot of places. But ultimately, the first couple of hours of a 24-hour race, certainly the way that I tend to approach them is just about finding your position within the field and finding your pace and getting through the first kind of 2 hours or so when the field, the slower classes, are still quite bunched together. you need to take calculated risks at the end of the day. You can't be sitting behind cars for 30, 40 seconds or so, because that's going to lose you quite a lot of time. And yes, 10 seconds over the course of a 24-hour race isn't much, but I think what iRacing has seen over the last couple of years is that the standard has increased so much that 10 seconds can really be the difference between finishing first and third. And we've seen it in many of the broadcast race splits with some of the professional esports drivers, and it's filtered down a lot into the lower splits as well. During Spa 24 last year, we finished 7th by 3 seconds. During the Sebring 12-hour race, we finished second by 19 seconds. These margins over these long distances really can play a big part in where you end up in the final finishing positions. So you need to make sure that you're getting past slower class cars as quickly as you can, but equally, you don't want to take any huge risks in the first couple of hours, because you've then basically wasted the next 20 hours. So we needed to make sure we took calculated risks, we were firm with our decisions that we were making, but ultimately we were getting through those first couple of hours without damaging the car. As I said before, we needed to make sure that any risks we were taking were calculated. Here we needed to let that P8 car go, the purple and white car, because they weren't in our fight at that point in time. We were on different pit strategies, and going 3 wide through bus stop, you don't want to do at all. It's basically suicide for your race. So we needed to make sure that we were letting cars go here and only passing or being lapped where it was safe to do so.
Easily taking up the leader.
Why did he go so wide? God damn it. This has not been my my 24 hour.
I'm not sure
Yeah,
if he just like didn't see you coming through because he was focused on the other one, or just didn't think you'd have the pace to catch up, like to out accelerated that hard.
Hang on a second.
Oh,
Stuart,
so
fucking A.
he comes back.
Alright, what did I miss?
An LMP2.
Yeah, Lucas killed another one.
Oh dear. Oh,
So he's killed an LMP LMDH. He's killed a LMP2. Just needs a GT now, and he's got the set.
Oh my god. When did this happen? Just
Literally just like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah. Lap 450, exit of turn 1.
I'm watching it now. Let's have a look.
I thought he was going to stay left.
Oh, it's the inter-Europol one again. What's our repair time like?
Oh, it was 12 and a half minutes and 2 minutes of optionals.
There's been some serious developments though. Well,
Oh, with all of the LMPs.
yeah.
So up until the 12-hour point in the race, things were going pretty well. We were P11. We were doing pretty well, picking up positions, staying out of trouble. Yeah, we were a little bit behind the lead pack, but 12 hours into a 24-hour endurance races, you're hardly halfway. You're not halfway at all. You're barely a third of the way through, kind of mentally, really. The hard part's still to come. So everything was still to play for. I'm off to get a little bit of rest, just to make sure that I could make it through the rest of the race without any breaks. And as I kind of came back in, having just got out of bed, I happened to notice that we were in the pits. I knew where we should have been in our pit strategy. I knew where we should have been relative to a scheduled stop. So I knew straight away that something was wrong, that we should not have been in the pits, and happened to notice quite a lot of the rear wing was missing, which wasn't what I was expecting at all. And it transpired that we'd had a big accident coming out of turn one. Thankfully, we were able to bring it back to the pits, which saved us probably a minute or two in terms of towing. But as far as a good result was, it was going to be a big struggle from there to get back into the top positions that we'd been aiming for. So it was a bit of a blow, but we endeavoured to keep going. That's what we do as a team. We're not people that just quit when things get tough. So we got the car repaired, I jumped in, and we kept going. So it was 10 minutes of repairs, just over 10 minutes of repairs, which, in the grand scheme of things, we could certainly deal with. It was going to lose us 5 or 6 laps. But yeah, we endeavoured to carry on. We're nothing but persistent. So we knew we were going to make it to the end, but we just needed to keep our heads down and make sure that nothing else happened between now and 12 hours' time.
I really was surprised that I'm not yet have to take a drive-through.
Left side.
Oh!
And
No!
No!
Why did you say that? as soon as you said that, I'm like, you've jinxed it.
No.
You've jinxed it.
We'll need to go to the pits to serve the penalty.
That's really funny. Oh well. Gee, just come and serve it now.
Yeah.
To come in for this penalty.
Damn it.
3 left.
Like that was like the most perfect timing.
I shouldn't have said it.
No, you shouldn't.
On a slower car.
Right. Don't speed in the pit lane, for God's sake.
I'll try it.
What's your speed limit in the pits?
And of course, it wouldn't be a 24-hour race without a little twist, a little sting in the tail. We ended up getting a drive-through for having too many incident points. Now, thankfully for our race, the drive-through didn't cost us anything. You're travelling down pit lane at the speed limit, so it's going to cost you about 20 odd seconds or so. But in shorter races, Sebring 12 last year, Spa 24, the drive-through would have cost us a place for sure. So it's definitely something that you want to avoid at all costs. It was really amusing that we had just been talking about not having a drive-through, and then literally 5 seconds later, we got a drive-through for incident points. It was the sort of race that you had to laugh when it happened. There'd been so much that had gone on, and then to get that just as we were speaking about it was perfect timing. So it was quite amusing, and it was quite a fun way to end off the race, actually, having a bit of a laugh at something that ultimately didn't cost us anything.
Ended on a high.
Incident in turn 1. We think it might be Taylor.
It's time to turn off some TC.
Yeah.
That makes very nice.
Yes!
Wins.
Ah,
And that was it.
well done. Brilliant.
P11. There we go, it's over.
Amazing.
Oh, well done. Well done.
Amazing.
Oh, what a race. What a race.
Wow, this is... I guess it's just amazing to see... Oh no, the car behind me.
Daytona was a very tough race for a number of reasons. I think we went in with very high expectations, which unfortunately we weren't able to meet. And although I've said multiple times that this is a hobby, that we're not professionals, we're doing this because we enjoy it, we have standards that we want to hit. And Daytona, I think it's fair to say that we didn't hit them for a variety of different reasons. Finishing a 24-hour race is still a huge achievement. It's still something to be celebrated, even if things haven't quite gone to plan. And we know that taking the experiences that we got from this race moving forward will help us become better at running in these sorts of events and understanding what we need to do to be successful. As a team, we worked very well together. We all understand each of us has individual strengths and weaknesses that we can use to bring out the best overall throughout the race. Moving forward, Sebring 12 is going to be the next big endurance race for us, 12-hour race towards the end of March. So we'll be looking to that and really hoping that we can build on this as a performance and move together, not just as individuals but also as a team as well. I think if we can really focus on collaborating and learning from shared experiences, what that's going to mean is that we will all progress forward and we will all become better drivers and we will all become better at taking parts in these sorts of events. And that's the most important thing. It is so important that we work together to get the best outcome here. It's not about just one person's success or one team's success. It is about the overall sim team as a whole doing well. And there may be individual pockets of performance that are above standard and there may be some that are below standard, but what is important is that we all work together to move forward and we all try the best that we can. And we all try and work towards our own individual standards. That's the most important thing, in my opinion.